Welcome to the Stevia Show. It's the Stevia Show. Helping you expand on what you know. Throw in a meme of the week and a review of the screen. And to have a show that covers everything.
Hey Team Stevia, and welcome to episode 130 of The Stevia Show.
A talk show podcast that covers pop culture, world news, local artistry, and everything in between.
As always, this is Steven.
And this is Lydia.
And we would like to thank Fulbright for being on episode 129. I've been listening to their EP nonstop.
It's so good.
So today we are welcoming Austin Lindsey, who is a fellow podcaster and the host of the This Is Tulsa podcast. So Austin, how you doing today, man?
Hey, great, man. Good to be here with you guys.
Yeah, good
Thanks
to
for
have you
being
with
here.
us. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get our funding out of the way, and then we will go ahead and get the interview started. So funding for the Stevia Show is brought to you in part by the following. Today's episode is brought to you by Bravado Wireless. Is it time for an upgrade? Bravado Wireless has all the newest phones. Not only do they have the brand new Samsung Z Flip and Z Fold, but they now also have every iPhone 13 model, the iPhone 13 and iPhone 13 mini and iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. So if you want any of these new phones, stop by your local Bravado Wireless store or head to bravadowireless.com to see one of these new phones and upgrade today.
As well as community members like you. Remember, you can support us on Patreon for as little as 99 cents a month. Thanks.
Awesome. Yes. So thank you very much to everybody who listens. And we are very excited to have Austin on the show today. The This Is Tulsa podcast is really good. We definitely recommend you all checking it out, and we will tell you how to do that at the end. So Austin, welcome to the show. Tell us your story on how you became a Tulsan.
Yeah, so I'm fairly new to Tulsa. My wife and I, we moved here 3 years ago from OKC.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
We both grew up in Oklahoma City, so we're lifetime Okies. But we actually didn't know too much about, as sad as it is, we didn't know too much about Tulsa. We just knew it as the neighbor, second biggest city up there somewhere. We knew, this is sad, but all we knew is, or at least me, was the BOK Center. You know, if you want to go to some events and know some shows, it's a good place to go to BOK. But fortunately, I didn't know too much about Tulsa. So when I came here, we were just kind of optimistic, but we're like, I guess we're just going to figure it out what's going on in Tulsa.
Nice.
And that was about 3 years ago.
Gotcha. And then, so you've stayed, so obviously you like it. So that's good. You started a whole podcast about it. So that's great. So between the two, Oklahoma City and Tulsa, or I guess what brought you all to Tulsa?
So my wife got accepted into medical school at OSU here. Mm-hmm. She's in the DO program. It's a long program, 4 years, and then she'll do a residency, and who knows where we'll end up for that. But at least for these is it 4 years? Yeah. So at least for these 4 years, we're here in Tulsa for sure.
Awesome.
And then we'll see what happens next.
Well, we're glad to have you all here.
Yeah.
So.
It's fun.
We've fallen in love with Tulsa. Yeah, it's been a good place.
Are you hoping to stay? Is that like your...
My wife and I have been talking about that actually.
Yeah.
So we just had our first kiddo who's 5 months old, a little boy.
Congrats.
But we're like, man, this is kind of hard because all our family's back in Oklahoma City. Like, if we lived in Oklahoma City, on one hand, it'd be easier, but at the same time, like, I've really fallen in love with Tulsa. I really like what's going on here, the community.
Yeah.
Can we stay here? So I don't know. In a couple of years, we'll see if we end up staying or what happens. But yeah, we'd love to stay.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a cool story. And so Austin and I, we met over the summer, and that's cool that your wife is in med school. The OSU program is super competitive, so that's a huge testament to her.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
So
yeah. She loves it. Yeah, loves the DO program. Met some good people there, good professors, and seems like OSU is doing some good stuff in the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. So what have been your favorite things about living in Tulsa?
Yeah, good question. Well, first off, I would say the biggest things that we got attracted to is we lived in Midtown by Riverside.
Good spot.
Right there by the OSU Med School and also the hospital. So there's lots of like Cherry Street, like lots of good places to eat.
Oh,
so we just started making a list, like, ooh, let's go try that spot. Let's go try that spot.
Yep.
Kilkenny's immediately became one of our very favorites.
It's a good one.
Love all the drink options that they have there. Of course, all the Cherry Street spots are good. But anyways, we just began to explore. So the food variety of local options was really neat. Along the way too, it's just like there's an entrepreneurial spirit here. There's a lot of giving and philanthropy. There's just a unique spirit. Green country feels more green and hilly and interesting here as well as compared to Oklahoma City.
True.
Oklahoma is just a huge metro, and here it's more compact. So it's still a good drive from Owasso to Broken Arrow, but I don't know if if you're going from Edmond to Norman, it's like over an hour.
Yeah, it takes a
there.
long
Yeah,
time.
I feel like Tulsa's more of like a traditional city in the sense that like it's more like you mentioned, it's like compact. Like everything's like right there where you need it to be and stuff like that. Whereas in Oklahoma City, you know, if you want to get from one side of the town to the other, it can take you like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because of how spread out it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So since starting your podcast, have you felt more involved with the city of Tulsa?
That's kind of why I got started, is because my journey was originally like, hey, come along with me as I get to know more people and start to hear their stories of the community. Like as I talk to business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives, come along. So it's kind of a journey of following me to get to know the community. And then it just kind of began to like shoot off. And like, now I have like, I think I was telling you this earlier, like my interviews that I'm doing like right now, they're going to be like 2 or 3 months later, just because the interviews I have, they're like, hey, I want to introduce you to 2 or 3 more people who would be great for this podcast. And they get connected there, and it just keeps branching off. And so it's been a really good way to connect with the community, hear the stories. I'm sure like you guys know, you guys are OG in it. You guys have been doing this for so long now. You get to meet a lot of great people and get connected to the community in a deeper way.
And that's the cool thing about podcasting is it's literally all we're doing is having conversations with people, and it's just
in front of microphones.
In front of microphones,
That's
and
it.
it's just so much fun. Like I don't know, like I don't know what I would do without having a podcast, because it's just so much fun getting to know everybody, like you mentioned. And on your podcast, you've had anything from like restaurateurs to like health and wellness people and stuff like that. So it's super cool, like learning like what all we have going on in the community, because Tulsa's like it's a thriving place. It really is.
It
Full
is.
of, you know, super cool people and super cool places to go and to visit. And speaking of cool people, you've been helping Tulsans tell their story since starting your podcast, including Oklahoma legend Billy Sims. So what was it like interviewing Billy Sims? I bet that was super cool.
Man, he's a pro. He's a great guy. First of all, he's just really humble. Like, so easy to talk to. He's so humble. I feel like literally like we could be friends. If we lived next door to each other, we could literally be friends. Like that's how like relatable and friendly he is.
Oh, that's great. We love to hear it.
He's not, yeah, I was just blown away by that, like how welcoming he is. Obviously, he's done thousands and thousands of interviews, but yeah, it was really easy to talk to, and I was really happy with how it went, because I was trying to dig behind. Like I know he's kind of just like used to talking about his sports stuff, and I kind of wanted to look past just the sports and say like, so beyond the sports, like what was some of the motivation to get into the restaurant industry? What did you ever want to work with your hands or do anything outside of sports? And it ended up being really interesting. Like he's like, you know, actually, excuse me.
Oh, you're good.
You're fine.
He was like, actually, you know, sports was not really my love. Like I just did it because it took me places.
And
but-
he was obviously good at it. I mean, he's a Heisman winner.
Like, so why not? You know? But he's like, I love to work on cars. I wanted to be an auto mechanic.
Okay.
If I could have done anything. And he's like, even when I was at OU, you know, as the Heisman Trophy winners, you know, superstar and all that, he's like, I was just known as the guy who always worked on my friends' cars and helped everybody save money. You know?
Oh my gosh.
So
That's hilarious.
that was cool to hear a little bit of the side of Billy that that he's maybe not known for. So that was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I had no idea that he was into restoring cars, because I always thought, you know, obviously he's known for football, and then also he's known for being a restaurant owner. But I would have never guessed that he was super into cars.
Yeah,
that's rad.
Yeah, for sure. And it was like I said, they were just super accommodating. They gave us a burger. You should try out the burgers. Actually, for under $10, the Billy Sims burger, really good. They have a special sauce. And then what I like,
I love a special sauce.
We all love special sauce. Yeah.
I love cheese, and you can swap out the fries for cheese curds.
I love cheese curds.
Game changer.
Yeah.
You should try it out.
Sounds like it.
So, real quick, why did you start the This Is Tulsa podcast?
Well, so I have about 10 plus years of being just like a audio nerd in my own little home office studio, that I call it, little studio recording setup. So I have my computer and some microphones, and for the last, 10 years, I'm always just like inviting friends over that make music or have instruments, and like, hey, let's come record you, let's record your song, and I'll produce it for free. You know, I just enjoy the process, or I do my own stuff. Try to do like some film scoring stuff, you know, in my little studio. So I've always loved playing around with audio, and I had all the gear. And then at the same time, I was like, I love Tulsa. I'd love to be able to figure out a way to like get to know people. What if I could just offer to have the conversation and tell their stories for free, and use it as a way to just meet more people in the community. It just seemed to come together, and about 6 months ago now.
That's cool.
We started April. Yeah. this
That's
year.
really
Yeah.
neat. That is really neat.
That's rad, and it always goes by so fast too. Like
Yeah.
like doing it for like the first like 6 months, and then soon 6 months will turn into a year, and then that'll turn into 2 years. Yeah, so it's definitely something it'll catch up on you. But it's been an awesome journey for you. I've really enjoyed seeing all the guests that you've had and watching your show grow. It's been great.
Thanks, man. It means a lot coming from you guys. How many? What
Don't make
episode?
us blush.
Yeah, don't make
What episode number is this?
130.
You got the
man.
130 slot.
Yeah,
Nice.
you got a nice 0. So it's the 0s and the 5s that are the monumental episodes. so you got a 0 episode.
Love it.
So what is the coolest thing you've learned about Tulsa since starting your podcast? If you could pick.
Since starting the podcast, well, I'd say along with it, I don't know if it was necessarily through the podcast, but I've gotten to see more of and get introduced to more of the philanthropic community, all the family foundations from Lobeck Taylor to George Kaiser, and too many more to mention all the different names, but I don't remember that. Even to this day, I can't think of like any families in the Oklahoma City area that were like known, like had their name on everything. There probably are or were, but when I came here, almost everything I went to, of course, in the Gathering Place and other places, but
Yeah.
Right.
almost everywhere you go, you see family names
There's a
everywhere.
family
The
name.
Schustermans, the
Yeah.
Kaisers, all of
The list
them.
goes on.
Yeah, and where Lydia and I work, the Kaisers actually do a lot for Tulsa Community College, which
Yes,
is super
they do.
rad.
Yeah.
And so did
They
the
have a
Hardesty.
scholarship.
Yeah, they have a scholarship, and then the Hardesties have done a lot too. So it's really cool that we have all these, families in Tulsa that actually want to give back to the community. Because like whenever the Gathering Place started, people were like, "Oh, this is a waste of taxpayer dollars," and I'm like, "This isn't taxpayer dollars. This is a private donation. Like
Yeah.
we're getting like the coolest park in the world for free.
Yeah.
Like how could you complain about
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, and it even won awards.
Right.
It won awards that year. That was really cool. And
Yeah, even if it was taxpayer dollars, it's not a waste. It's
No.
so
Not at
cool.
all. No,
It is the coolest
I'd
thing.
pay for that. Like that'd be something because I could actually
Yeah.
use it. I can pay for it.
Yeah.
So something like that.
For sure.
So Austin, what do you think draws people to Tulsa? So like if your wife, like for example, maybe got accepted into the Oklahoma City medical programs, do you think Tulsa would have even been on your radar? Or
No,
okay, gotcha. No
no.
worries.
Like I
Yeah.
said, like all I knew was about Bank of Oklahoma or the BOK
The
Center.
BOK.
right.
As sad as that sounds, I've been to some concerts here, and
And that was it.
I was missing
you
out
drove
on so
in,
much.
You drove out.
yeah,
Yeah.
had no idea. Again, that's just my own fault or whatever. But what's cool though, since I've been here, is finding out that there's so much more than that. Is my heart for local and love of everything local has just grown. So now I go out of the way to try to find ways to spend local dollars and support local and choose local for everything. Whereas of before, there's ways to do that in Oklahoma City, but I don't know, just something about here. It's easy to get inspired and love the community and support the community here.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think compared to Oklahoma City, I'm not trying to dog on Oklahoma City by
Yeah.
any means,
No,
but
for
I,
sure.
It's
but-
the biggest city that we can compare to right next to us. So.
well, right. But I do think that Tulsa has more of that community spirit, like as opposed like I don't hear people like say, "Oh, I'm from Oklahoma City, like this is the coolest place ever." Like, but I hear people say, "I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm proud to be from here," which is super rad. And I just think that the cool thing about Tulsa, like you mentioned, is that like entrepreneurial spirit is everything's local here. Like I can tell you, like if people want to go to a restaurant, like nearly everywhere I list is all local stuff because we have such good food here. We have
So
great
good.
breweries. We just have great everything here in Tulsa, and I think that. I think a lot of times Tulsa kind of gets overlooked by like regional cities like St. Louis and Kansas City and stuff like that. But I mean, I think we're just as good, if not better than them. So, but then again, I'm from here and I'm kind of
He loves
biased.
Tulsa.
So
Can you tell?
You're a lifetimer, right?
He is a life.
BA?
BA, yeah, that's where I'm from. Then I went away for college. Then I came back. So, yep.
But he only went to Tahlequah for college.
Right, which is only an hour away.
It's
But
only an hour away.
But it made me appreciate Tulsa that much more.
That's true.
Yeah, it made me appreciate being from here that much more. Nothing against Tahlequah, but it's just like having like local music venues and stuff like that. Like just having more of that like music presence and stuff like that. It's great. It's great.
I'm curious what your perspective is of Oklahoma City, looking as a Tulsa lifer.
Ooh, that's a good question. So you're gonna pull a little reverse card there.
Reverse.
That's
Reverse.
yeah. I mean, I like Oklahoma City. I have nothing against it. I mean, I call Tulsa the 9-1 great just because I think this is I think Tulsa's the best city in Oklahoma. But then again, I'm biased to it.
Right.
But just whenever I go to Oklahoma City, I don't like really feel like they have that sense of community that Tulsa has. And I don't know if it's just because it's a bigger city or what, but I just love how tight knit everybody in Tulsa is. Like you mentioned, like on your podcast, like you'll have one person say, hey, you should interview this person and stuff like that. Like everybody, it's like, it's all the benefits of being from a small town, but without everybody knowing everything about you. It's great.
Yeah. Because that's one of the things people gave me. I think it was some of the best advice I've had here is don't burn bridges in Tulsa.
Yeah.
Burn bridges, you could put yourself in a world of hurt for everyone because everyone's almost connected in some way. Or you're one introduction away from knowing just about anybody.
Right.
Yes.
You know? Right.
Those two things have been interesting. In Oklahoma City, I don't necessarily feel that way, you know?
Yeah.
I also wonder if it's also because like there's so many suburbs. So you have Oklahoma City proper, but then you have Moore, Norman, Edmond, you know, Putnam City, all the ones. Like typically most people don't necessarily identify themselves as being from Oklahoma City. You think I'm from Moore because I grew up in Moore. So I think of myself as, you know what they call somebody from Moore?
Oh, what's that?
Moron.
Oh, kind of people from Maine are maniacs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
So I'm a moron.
Gotcha.
I don't don't think I've ever identified myself as OKC or we don't have even a cool name to call ourselves.
Yeah, you don't.
Oklahomacian.
You know. So if somebody were to ask you from like far away, where are you from? You would say Moore, Oklahoma.
No, in that case, I would say
Oklahoma City.
Yeah, Oklahoma City, just because it's more known.
Yeah.
But if they're like,
we do the same thing. I always say Tulsa. I don't live in Tulsa.
But see, like you said, you're from Broken Arrow, but you still consider, you talk about loving Tulsa,
Oh,
and you're
he's a
like
big
part
Tulsa.
of Tulsa, even though like it's kind of like it's all connected.
Yeah.
Here.
Right. Yeah. And I just do more in Tulsa. Like that's where I work. That's where my wife and I, Abby, that's where we spend most of our time is on Tulsa. We're actually probably going to move to Tulsa proper after this house and move to this city just because there's so much more going on. Nothing against Broken Arrow, but I just really enjoy being in Tulsa. And I like being just so close to everything. It's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh gosh, it's my turn. I'm sorry. So Tulsa has been likened multiple times to being an up and coming city like Austin and Nashville. What do you think sets us apart from those kind of cities?
I'm not like super familiar with Austin or Houston, or did you say Austin, Houston, or
Austin
you said
and Nashville.
Nashville. Nashville, I think of the country music scene or music production in general.
Sure.
Austin, kind of tech capital. I guess Elon's pretty interested. In,
Elon wants to go
Austin, right? Oh, is it Austin or Houston?
Yeah.
Or
No,
what?
it's Austin.
He chose Austin over here.
He did choose Austin. I would choose Austin too, though.
Hey, I choose Austin myself.
I would for an Elon Musk Tesla factory. I would probably choose Austin because the Texans. They'll buy him up.
They'll buy him up.
I choose Austin because it's a cool name, you know.
Oh, of course, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clearly.
No, this Austin loves Tulsa. I don't know what it feels like you said, or I don't know who said it, but it's kind of like a smaller, more compact. I think of it kind of like a Kansas City, like a smaller version of Kansas City with all the benefits of all the local options and connections and really great food and all that stuff, but like closer and smaller and easier to get around in and meet people in.
We're just missing a big football stadium.
I honestly
If
think
we had a big football stadium, it would be so great.
I honestly think Tulsa could support a pro sports team. Like
I think so too.
Like either NFL, NHL, NBA, or MLB. I mean,
Give us a baseball team. That's fine.
Yeah, I'll take a baseball team.
That's fine.
Yeah.
What about soccer? Does that count?
Oh, I'd love to have a soccer team.
I mean,
here.
we have FC Tulsa.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Does FC Tulsa count?
No, they definitely count. But if we have like an MLS team, like something to bring us to the next level.
Next level.
Right.
We do have a lot of the under the next, like the underdogs.
And that's what I'm saying is they're all attended really well. Like people love going and supporting the Drillers. They love supporting FC Tulsa, the Oilers. Like the only sport we're missing is basketball here in Tulsa. But then you have ORU.
But we have that at
TU
Oklahoma
for
City.
That.
That's
But we
why.
have the main team in Oklahoma City.
We've got the big dogs over there.
Yeah, something called the Thunder. Never heard of them. but
I would love a big football stadium in Tulsa. That would be my one thing I would love.
Like a pro team?
Yeah.
That'd be rad. And would you change from being a Packers fan to a Tulsa whatever we'd be called fan?
But
Okay.
I would go to the games.
Oh, that'd be rad.
Maybe
right.
I can't change on
teams-
Packers fan.
Okay.
There's teams moving, what is it, the 49ers? They're like the Las Vegas Niners or
Oh,
something
the
like
Raiders.
that.
The Oakland Raiders moved to
Raiders.
Las Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So could we see Tulsa Packers or something like that?
Ooh,
If they move.
that would be good. There you go.
I don't think they would ever move from Wisconsin,
No,
but that
no.
would be the dream.
Cheeseheads,
Yeah. They got to stick strong up in Wisconsin.
They do. So, Austin, if you could interview anyone for your podcast, and they don't have to be local, so it could be anybody you want, who would it be and why?
Interesting. Well, I've kind of limited by the name itself of the podcast. This is Tulsa. I've kind of limited it to the metro.
Yeah.
Because I've had some people from Stillwater and Oklahoma City be like, hey, man, I'm curious. What about this person or what about this person? I was like, well, kind of limited the scope.
Yeah. Gotta kind of stay
I wanted
at
it
home.
to kind of be niche, I wanted it to be kind of like the local community, and there's so much to choose from. There's a lot of options. So if I was sticking to that, man, I don't know. Like some of the most unexpected people though have been some of my favorite interviews. Like the Tulsa Boys Home. Man, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Conway. He was phenomenal, and his was like a 2-hour interview, and it went by like that. And he's just got so many stories, and like he's just a really great guy. They've like had like 20 plus foster kids come to their home. They just have a huge heart for people and helping people. So there's been some good nonprofits. There's been some really cool stories of women business owners who back in the 80s, they were figuring out how when banks would not give money to women. They said, no, you can bring your husband and maybe we'll give you a deal.
Which is so sad that wasn't even that long ago.
That makes me so mad.
Right?
Yeah. Sorry,
There's
man.
still,
Is your
there are
husband
still things
here?
like that
Yeah.
in the world. When it comes to doctors and women, they have, there's things that you have to
Yeah.
get your husband's permission for.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, they were changing the game. I mean, it's really cool stories. I think it's like episode number 4 or 5. Look up Ribbons Boutique. Lisa, man, I'm drawing a blank on names right now, but her name's Lisa. She's out there in Peoria, and her mom and some other women there in the 80s, they figured out how to change the game and start a business when they couldn't
That is
get.
fantastic.
That's so
Back
cool. So they
then.
were kind of like paving the way
They were
then.
pioneers,
They paved the way.
Women
Gotcha.
pioneers in business. So really cool story, and then they're still going strong, passing it on to her daughter Lisa.
Aw. Family business.
The Latimer, is that? Anyways, yeah, Lisa, go look them up. Ribbons Boutique, Peoria. But if I could interview anybody that I haven't interviewed, I thought about like I was kind of curious. I was Googling the other day, like who's the most popular person who's connected to Tulsa, and Garth Brooks is technically born
Yes.
in Tulsa,
Yeah, he was born
but he's
here.
known as Yukon.
Right.
He's known to
Yeah.
be from Yukon and also Stillwater. But I was like, Garth Brooks. If somehow I could get a connection there,
That would
I've
be
always been a Garth
big.
Brooks
You've
fan.
probably already interviewed somebody who knows Garth Brooks. I guarantee you Billy Sims has met Garth Brooks.
Oh, yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, probably. It's like the degrees of separation. Like how many people are away are we from like GT Bynum? Like honestly, probably one.
Only,
You
yeah,
know?
well, yeah,
Yeah.
only a few probably. But it's like 7. Technically, it's 7 degrees, right?
Right. Yeah.
But
which is-
being in this area, yeah. Who knows? Maybe Abby knows.
yeah,
GT Bynum.
maybe so. Yeah. So you choose Garth Brooks then.
Well, if I was going more realistic, I always thought it'd be cool to talk to some of these big families that are deep givers and hear a little bit more about why they're, like what the motivation is and a little bit about their involvement. Because I don't know too much. I just see their names everywhere. I read something, little snippets here online, but like the Kaiser Foundation, I don't know if I'd ever get to sit with the man George himself or not, but
Yeah.
My man George. Yeah.
It'd be cool.
I don't
It would
know,
be
but
cool.
like to hear a little bit about like the story of the things they've been involved in, which is a ton of things,
Yes.
or some of these families. I don't know. It might be cool to hear some of these people who have been able to financially change the game for so many businesses and nonprofits, and like you said,
And
TCC
just individuals, too.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
They've changed a lot of families' lives, too. Just their families.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That would be cool. So, what does the future hold for your podcast?
Well, like I said, we've just been doing this about 6 months. Just released episode number 21.
Congrats.
Yeah. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Only about 110 behind you guys.
No way.
You'll catch up.
You'll
You'll
catch
catch
up.
up. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
I'm trying to go one a week. Every once in a while, maybe it's only 3 a month instead of 4 a month. But I've been trying to go about once a week. When my son was born, I took a few weeks off, and then had a little cold here and there, But
Yeah. We feel that.
trying to do one a week. So I'd like to keep doing that. In a dream world, like if I could dream up anything as far as the future, it would be cool to be able to have somebody to do the social media part for me.
Oh, gotcha.
We agree with that,
man.
too.
I do not enjoy. I know it's necessary to be on Instagram and try to have a Facebook page and stuff, but it takes up so much time. And
It is.
It
It is
does.
time wasting.
And Facebook is
Yeah.
just the worst platform. Like I can't say how much I hate Facebook.
We definitely enjoy Instagram way more than Facebook.
Yeah. I've made a lot of great connections on Instagram, so that's good. But it still takes just up a lot of time
It really does.
to stay up with
Because you have
the
to also schedule
algorithms
them
and stuff.
out and do all the
Yeah.
things. And
Yeah.
the algorithm.
The algorithm's the hard part, especially on Facebook. Like Facebook does not want you off of their site. Like
No.
if you so much as mention like Discord, Patreon, Twitter, Instagram, like they're like, we're just gonna bury this post.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Nobody's
Zuckerberg.
gonna
You
see
know? Yeah.
Wow.
Or
Yeah.
sorry, thanks Meta. They just recently changed their name after the whole
Yeah.
publicity stunt that they just had, and
It's weird.
it's very weird. So Austin, thank you so much for being on the show. And where can members of Team Stevia, where can we find your podcast at?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just got my website 2.0 put up.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
A lot better than the first one. It's pretty robust. So it's thisistulsapodcast.com. You can go there and I have like different playlists. So if you want to see, like I have a playlist of women in Tulsa, if like you want to hear the women business owners.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
I think there's 9 of the episodes have been women in Tulsa. So you can go like start there. I have another one that's the Tulsa Top 10, which is a series I just started where we're doing Tulsa top 10 restaurants, coffee scenes, barbecue, working with not just myself, but a lot of the Instagram food bloggers that are, there's some really big, big influential ones. We're doing a joint collaboration with them and their years of going around the community, eating everywhere. And we're going to put together top 10 for all the categories. So you can find a playlist of that. But yeah, if you go there on the website, you can listen on your favorite, whatever app, you listen to your podcast on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, whatever you listen, you can all do all that from there. So
Awesome.
And your social medias are just This is Tulsa Podcast, or
Yep.
is it This is Tulsa Pod?
This is Tulsa Podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, Instagram is where I'm mainly at. I figured out, we have a Facebook page, but it gets like, 2, maybe 1 or 2 likes. And then
Yeah.
I finally found out they basically are trying to force your hand to sponsor and like
pay
pay
money.
advertise.
And pay.
Again, why Facebook is the worst. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's almost pointless
Instagram.
to have that. But yeah, Instagram is mainly where the presence is, where I'm always trying to connect with other potential guests and stuff like that. And that's actually where we got connected. I think this was through Instagram.
Was Insta?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many cool people we met through Instagram.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Nobody
feel,
uses Facebook.
yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Honestly, if I didn't have the podcast page, I wouldn't have Facebook. Like I just keep it
Probably
from
not.
Messenger and that's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Legit.
for sure.
awesome. Well, Austin, thank you so much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate it. Team Stevia, be sure to go give This is Tulsa a follow and a 5-star review because Austin is doing awesome things in the community. So be sure to keep up with that. And you can follow us on all the social media platforms with the handle @The Stevia Show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcast app you listen to. If you're on YouTube, search for The Stevia Show and subscribe with the notification button. And thank you to the following for supporting The Stevia Show.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bravado Wireless. Is it time for an upgrade? Bravado Wireless has all the newest phones. Not only do they have the brand new Samsung Z Flip and Z Fold, but they also have every iPhone 13 model, iPhone 13 and 13 mini, and iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max. Stop by your local Bravado Wireless store or head to bravadowireless.com to see one of these new phones and upgrade today.
We are also sponsored by community members like you. Remember, you can support us on Patreon for as little as 99 cents a month. Thank you. And Austin, thank you so much again for being on the podcast. Again, everybody go check out This is Tulsa Podcast, available on all the major podcasting platforms.
Yes.
Austin, thank you so much for being on the show. And we're actually going to do a crossover episode with the This is Tulsa podcast.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. So if you want to hear us being interviewed, have the tables flipped, definitely be sure to check out Austin's podcast and also those great playlists and stuff like that. I'm really stoked for more of the top 10s because I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is just dope. Because
Yeah.
I'm also just a big David Letterman fan, and he did the top 10s for everything.
Yeah.
So that's rad.
100%, man.
Yeah.
Super
Thanks.
cool.
It was an honor to be here with you guys.
Yeah,
thank you.
anytime.
Thank
But
you.
for now, this is Steven,
Austin.
And Lydia.
and we will see you all later.
Bye.
Bye.